Lil Scrappy and Bambi's startling altercation has the reality TV scene in shock tonight. So intense that it has shocked the hip-hop community and left fans in disbelief. What started as a private argument behind closed doors has turned into a significant controversy as shocking information from a wild night that destroyed their already tense relationship was leaked. According to others close to the couple, it was a very personal and intensely emotional argument, rather than a simple argument. A moment so explosive that even those in attendance were shaken by the shouting and broken trust, and supporters were stunned, asking how a once solid couple's relationship could have fallen apart so quickly. Tempers boiled as emotions soared. Everyone is now wondering, what really happened between Lil Scrappy and Bambi? After accusations were made and their bond broke in front of startled witnesses? After such a terrible and public rupture, is there any opportunity for reconciliation? What was said? Who went too far? As we go down every aspect of this dramatic showdown, stay tuned. Everyone is talking about the betrayal, heartbreak, and aftermath. You won't believe what transpired that evening. It began as what appeared to be a typical afternoon, but nobody could have imagined that it would turn into one of the most talked about events in recent memory. Bambi and Lil Scrappy had been going through a difficult time for months, but nobody anticipated the impending storm. The hostility between them was simmering beneath the surface, building up like a pressure cooker that was about to explode. When it did, their entire world was rocked. After a dispute regarding Scrappy's recent behavior, according to close sources, things became more heated. Bambi believed Scrappy was becoming emotionally distant and spending too much time away from home. Something or someone was diverting his attention, she suspected. Grumpy, yet felt harassed all the time, claiming he was tired of having to be cautious about his own home. His attempts to defend himself just made matters worse. Scrappy had just come home after a day out when the dispute started, and Bambi was waiting with her arms folded and her face frozen. It was late in the evening. "Where?" she asked. He nonchalantly stated that he was simply with pals when he had gone there. She didn't believe it. The mood changed abruptly. Voices became more raised, and what had started off as a straightforward conversation descended into a full-fledged brawl. According to a source close to the couple, Bambi reportedly exclaimed, "You don't respect me," and her neighbors heard shouting coming from inside the house. "You don't even care about this family anymore," Scrappy retorted, accusing her of always anticipating the worst. However, the actual intensity of the yells wasn't evident until later. "I can't function with you looking at my phone or questioning me because you think I'm always up to something." This time, though, it went beyond words. Things became more sinister when Scrappy slammed his hand in a fit of wrath. Bambi winced when she saw a framed picture from their wedding day against the wall. Although it wasn't the first time he had lost his temper, this time it felt more frightening and hostile. The atmosphere in the room was intense, erratic, and frightening, even though he didn't touch her. When their daughter, who had been sleeping in a different room, woke up wailing, the turmoil was only made worse. Bambi hurried to calm the youngster, as Scrappy paced and muttered to himself, obviously overwhelmed. Family and friends attempted to step in. During a video call with Bambi earlier that day, one of her close friends claimed to have detected danger brewing even before the fight. She insisted on being tired. The companion disclosed that they were not physically or emotionally depleted. That evening, she wasn't herself. Following the altercation, Bambi took their daughter and locked herself in the bedroom. Scrappy slept on the couch, still furious but too exhausted to continue. The house was quiet, but there was a lingering sense of resentment. The following morning, Bambi left without saying anything, returning calls or texts, or responding to Scrappy's messages. Hours passed into a day, then two, and at first Scrappy was perplexed and upset, telling himself she was simply cooling off and would return when things calmed down. Soon, word got out. The couple's social media unfollows were observed by fans. "Letting go is sometimes the bravest thing you can do," Bambi wrote in an ambiguous anecdote she shared. Following the flurry of rumors, blogs went crazy with titles like "Scrappy and Bambi split," and "A heated argument ends in a breakup." Fans were blown away, but some weren't shocked because they've seemed off for a while. "You could just tell something wasn't right," one commenter said. Others choose a side. While some support Bambi, others defend Scrappy. But at the time, nobody realized how close things had come to going too far. The events behind closed doors were just the beginning. In the meantime, Scrappy was disintegrating. In addition to being angry, he was also hurt and felt deceived by everything. What he had created with Bambi was disappearing. According to reports, he told a buddy that he hardly recognized their connection anymore. "We used to be solid," he added. "Ride or die. She now treats me as if I were the enemy." He asserted that Bambi had changed after pursuing her career, saying that stress and popularity had made her less understanding and icy. However, people who know Bambi well tell a different tale. Their families were split, and they claim that she battled for months to keep the relationship intact, begging him to take therapy to slow down and open up. He refused. Bambi's mother, who had never completely trusted Scrappy, gave her daughter her whole support. "I warned her," she stated during a private family conversation. "He is too erratic. He's not prepared to be a responsible husband." Scrappy's relatives, however, believed that Bambi was exaggerating the problem and overreacting. He never touched her, they said, and he was only in need of sympathy rather than condemnation. Unwilling to choose a side but unable to ignore the consequences, the couple's closest friends were caught in the midst. They tried to converse, but it immediately turned into another quarrel, according to one friend. She was crying, and he was yelling, as if they were speaking different languages. Despite numerous attempts to bridge the gap between them, Scrappy began to feel alone and insecure, and began staying out later to party more. To get away from the drama, however, people inquired about Bambi wherever he went. The inquiry, "You good with your girl?" might come up even at the club. In reality, he was far from okay, but he would shrug and pretend to smile before continuing. He was unraveling. In the background, things were becoming worse. Although she hadn't yet filed anything, Bambi had begun speaking with legal counsel, which was a hint of how serious things had gotten. Lil Scrappy and Bambi's startling altercation has the reality TV scene in shock tonight. So intense that it has shocked the hip-hop community and left fans in disbelief. A private disagreement that started behind closed doors has turned into a significant controversy. After shocking details from a wild night were leaked, their already tense relationship was destroyed. According to others close to the couple, it was a very personal and intensely emotional argument, rather than a simple argument. A moment so explosive that even those in attendance were shaken by the shouting and broken trust, and supporters were stunned, asking how a once solid couple's relationship could have fallen apart so quickly. In front of stunned witnesses, emotions ran high as resentment flared, accusations were made, and their bond broke. What really happened between Lil Scrappy and Bambi is the question that everyone is now asking. Who went too far? What was said? And is there any prospect of reconciliation with such a traumatic and public fallout? All about as we examine every aspect of this explosive conflict. Everyone is talking about the betrayal, heartbreak, and aftermath. You won't believe the events of that evening. It began as what appeared to be a typical afternoon, but nobody could have imagined that it would turn into one of the most talked about dramas in recent memory. No one anticipated the impending storm that Lil Scrappy and Bambi would confront, since their tension had been simmering beneath the surface for months, building like a pressure cooker ready to explode.